Hello there and welcome to tonight's National Panasonic Cup match between Parramatta and Canberra. And not only a big night out on the field for these two sides playing their first cup match for 1984, in fact it's the second last match in the first round. And at the end of the night, the General Manager of the New South Wales League, John Quayle, will be here to carry out the draw for the all-important quarterfinals starting a fortnight tonight. And at half-time, a special guest will join me in the commentary box as we announce an appointment to Channel 10 and to the Daily Mirror that we see as being of great benefit to rugby league in the state of New South Wales. But so much about what's happening on the cameras here in the commentary box tonight. Out on the field, it should be a great match between Parramatta and Canberra, both hoping to get back in the winner's circle. After a shock loss for Parramatta last Sunday, they went down to Cronulla Sutherland. And Canberra, they went to Redfern, and that's a graveyard for a lot of teams, and it proved just that way for the Raiders last Sunday. Parramatta have lost a couple of star players as we look now at the team. Steve Ella at fullback, a position he played a lot on the Kangaroo Tour, and he'll handle it with consummate ease. Neil Hunt on one wing, Chris Houghton is on the other. Brett Kenny partners Mark Laurie in the centres. Laurie played a lot of centre in second grade last year for coach John Money. And then it's Ron Quinn, Peter Sterling, Steve Sharp, Neil Pingilly is in for Ray Price, Peter Wynn, Paul Mayers, Ken Stewart and Stephen Edge will captain the Parramatta Eels. So to the Canberra team, and Ron Sigsworth will take the field in the original Canberra lineup and not Steve O'Callaghan. And then you've got Blacklock and Corkery on the flanks, Aldous and Bellamy in the centres with Gitto out of the team tonight. O'Sullivan at 5/8. Henjack is half and captain tonight. He captains his very first grade side. Gilbert, Elliott, Bacco, McLeod, Spears and Hoffman make up the Canberra Raiders team. And so it's sudden death for the Raiders or the Eels, and we'll know the result in around 2 hours from now. We'll take a brief of the match. Here's Greg McCallum. Parramatta running from left to right. Been won by Parramatta when in fact it was called the Tooth Cup back in 1980. The reason you know is because it was the year before South won it.
Right.
There's the kick-off, and Bill, how do you see it going?
Well, both teams are coming into the match off losses on the weekend, and it takes on special significance. It gives them a chance to restore confidence, but as I've said in the past, Ray, I wouldn't like to have to hurt the two by picking a winner in this one. There's nothing between the two sides.
So just outside the Canberra 22, a familiar sight, clearing with the kick, Paul Elliott. And the first penalty of the match goes to Parramatta. Peter Sterling playing in jumper number 18. Paul Mayers in jumper number 22. There's a simple explanation for that. The man in charge of the gear picked up the wrong bag. So Paul's in 22 and Peter's in 18. And Peter assured me that he hopes it's not a sign of the times. Once you're on the toboggan, you seem to go downhill pretty fast. I don't think it'll happen to Sterlo, though. Pengilly plays it. Steve Edge's dummy half. And another penalty going to Parramatta inside the 5 against Canberra. Stephen Edge, of course, led the Eels last Sunday. It was a return to the captaincy that I guess Steve wishes he had it delayed for another 7 days. But it took 13 Cronulla Sharks to beat them. It wasn't just Steve Edge's fault. Here he is now, the number 12, taking the tap. Peter Sterling turning it in for Peter Wynn. Dummy half now is Ken Stewart, played down on the 22 line. That's Mayers in 22. Pengilly. Wiry-looking customer, Pengilly. Stewart. I was having a look at Neil's right ear. You reckon it's not cauliflower? Looks like a house that somebody's been living in. Put down by the Eels, but knocked on by the Raiders. And so the first scrum of the match. About 12 metres out from the Raiders line, and blood coming from the mouth of the lock forward, Ashley Gilbert. was some talk that Mike Cronin might play tonight, but he's not even on the bench. Hoffman's having trouble getting in. Fed by O'Sullivan, won by the Eels. That's an important scrum win for Edge against the feed. Sharp turning a lollipop pass away, and then Peter Wing gave a handoff and Ellis put it down, but there didn't seem to be very much urgency in those two passes from the Eels. Very sloppy stuff.
Tried to do too much on the early tackles. They were in a good position to apply some pressure. What they should have done was spear the ball up for the first 2 or 3, get some momentum with quick play of the balls, and then look for a play on the 3rd or 4th.
Penalty going to Parramatta. Incorrect feed, the ruling. Bill, I'm not trying to crack it for an argument, but how do you substantiate that when you look at the statistics of the Parramatta machine over the last 3 years of wonderful success, and most of their tries have come on 1 or 6.
Yeah, but what's happened there is they've been in positions where the opposition defence has been stretched on the first tackle and have been able to spread it. That wasn't one of those situations. That was a situation where the defence was well organised.
Oh, Winners got through, but Pengillia's tackle still about 5 metres out from the Canberra line. Out with Sterling, and that's Steve Sharp in jumper number 8. If you're looking at your television guides as per the newspapers, it's hopeless as Peter Wynn gets the ball down to Brett Kenny. The Eels, with all the ball, all the penalties, they should be able to score, and it's Sterling 10 metres out from the line. Referee McCallum's given them every opportunity to score. This has been very, very sustained, this pressure. This is the last for them, so Sterling says we can't go through you, we'll go over, and it's gone over the dead ball line, so it's coming out for a 22-place kick by the Raiders.
And it's going to be a quick one. We can see the Raiders racing up to take it. They did very well to withstand that early pressure that was applied by Parramatta, so now let's have a look at what Canberra can do.
Elliott taken by Blacklock. Played down for Hoffman to give to Spears, who played most of his early football here on Leichhardt Oval, being a Balmain Tiger. That's O'Sullivan giving a short ball to Gilbert. Henjack and O'Sullivan, they switch around at half and 5/8. The clearing kick is there for Paul Elliott. And it's down for Neil Hunt. Left knee, of course, still heavily strapped. He had the medial ligament operation at the end of last year. One of several players who weren't recognisable without their crutches in the off-season. I wonder why that is. Mayors. I wonder why so much damage is being done to the knees of rugby league players. More so now than ever, it seems. Scrum packing. McLeod is packing in there with his own brand of shoulder pads. He doesn't wear them normally. He made up a pair for tonight. He damaged a shoulder, John, on Sunday and left the field around half-time and didn't think he'd play tonight, but he made a quick recovery and he made himself up a pair of shoulder pads as Gilbert gets a little handoff from O'Sullivan, who was racing with one shoe missing. And this is McLeod now. It's the Eels' turn to defend. That's Spears. Turned inside by Elliott for Bacco. McLeod now. Ball going behind the Canberra attackers. And the number 5 is Matthew Corkery. And they'll bomb it here, I would think, the Raiders. It's not a bad one from Ivan Henjack. A test for Ella. Oh, dear, that's got to be a penalty. Thank goodness. It was almost blatant. In fact, people who saw Rugby League 84 on Monday night would have seen something very similar, but only worse than that, resulting in a Penrith try against Illawarra. Once upon a time, it was the hooker who had what was the job nobody wanted in rugby league. I
don't think I'd want to wear the #1 jumper these days.
Steve Ella doesn't look all that happy in the back play. He's taken a bump on the nose and he's walking very gingerly back here on the blind side to take up a position.
Probably having something to say under his breath too about... He'd be probably saying, where were you, Brett? Sharp. The zip man, I don't think fancies the bombs all that much. Sterling. Sigsworth. Play on. Blacklock up to the 22 and beyond. He's got them running all around the place. Pengilly beaten badly. Hoffman's in possession. They're wide and they're deep, but they're congested, the Raiders. They're going to have to cut out a couple. Out to McLeod. Gets it around the corner. Look forward. And it's going to be a scrum just inside the 22.
You call that one as it was, Ray. Sometimes on those long stretches of passes to one side of the field, it's possible to have too many cooks, and that's exactly the case there. They had 7 or 8 players. All they needed was 4 or 5. The ball was too slow in getting to the winger.
Well, Parramatta can't complain about possession. This is Peter Wynn. A pretty heavy hit there by Bacco. They're just outside the 22 line. Sharp as the dummy half edge runs to the, I was going to say blind, but it really was half of 1 and 6 of the other. Quinn. Mayer's a lovely ball for Ella, but the defence was tight. He's a very, very dangerous man when he plays at full. He's dangerous anywhere, Ella, but I suspect he's even more dangerous coming in from the bonus position of full back in attack.
It gives him the opportunity to pick his hole where he'd like to run.
No score, Parramatta. I reckon if they're going to win this match, Canberra, that's where it'll be. Gilbert. And this is O'Sullivan. Sigsworth. Phil coming back in first this weekend for Manly. The penalty going to the Raiders. Well, they got no Ron Giddo tonight. Henjack captains the team. In fact, he captains his very first. They're only 2 of many. It's been a great launching pad for junior rugby leaguers. Good kick, but he's just wide. It looked beautiful off the boot. Now the referee has ruled a line dropout. Let's have a look at that. Have we got that on the replay?
Well, the linesman have indicated that Peter Sterling caught the ball in goal and carried it out dead.
Might have got his foot on it. Or put his foot on it. Well, they both agreed, the touch judges, so there can be no dispute in that area. Sigsworth. Well, now what's he going to do here? He's given the penalty to Parramatta. He's got him for picking the ball up out of the play the ball contest. He was a bit unlucky, Sigsworth. 1 second he didn't have a marker, and the next moment he did, but it was too late. He'd committed the crime, and that was it. Just picking the ball up in the play the ball contest, and Edge had put himself into a marker position. So the tap is to be taken just on the Parramatta side of halfway. Paul Mears was telling me last week they trained terribly and played exactly the same way. This is Quinn, who's been a permanent fixture in the Eels lineup since Cronin made his departure. Pengilly. Sterling, the little general that he is calling the shots as usual. This is Sharp. Quinn, long ball for Kenny. He's away from his opposite number. Now he's going to have to jick inside. And he's tackled by Gilbert. Yet to see a try in the match as Sterling chances the bomb. And a penalty to Canberra. Rightly so. Rightly so. Players taking the man out of the game, not in possession. And with no intention of playing the ball at all. of course, keep your eyes out for the try of the match, and you can enter our weekly contest, which offers some very good prizes, as I've told you about right through the season. Of course, the prizes come from National Panasonic. Who else? Gilbert. That's a nice piece of work, and O'Sullivan backed him up. Hoffman to the blind for Bellamy. Short of the halfway. 6 minutes of the first quarter remaining, and no score. Elliott tackled by Sterling and by Mayers. Which with Henjack, he just stuttered there for a second, and Sterling doing the cleaning up. Blacklock kicking on the last. Hunt's underneath it. Former fullback who, under Terry Fernley, looked like he might have gone anywhere as a fullback, but he's done just as well, I suppose, on the wing. Ella playing it. Sterling passing it. Mayers. Hand off for Wynn. Well, they're outnumbered, the Raiders, but they're able to get themselves in between the ball carrier and the support. This is O'Sullivan. Play almost on the halfway. Stewart over the top with Edge underneath. Here's Spears. McLeod. Good Jono, minus that bushy beard that we've come to recognise him from. Backo. I wonder, is the national superstar out there tonight, the $20,000 national superstar. Nice kick in general play, picking up the touchline. 8 metres out from the line, and the touch judge comes in to say something to the ref, and it's Mayers who's being called out. Yes, the superstar in 1984 will be receiving $20,000 worth of national product. So you can't do much better than that. Important scrum, particularly for the Raiders, won by the Eels. Let's get the scrums and penalties together for you just in front of the break. Quinn, hammered there by Aldous. Can you tell me about him, Bill, the centre?
Nick Aldous is a good player. He played lower grades with Eastern Suburbs going back a couple of years. Made the move to Canberra. He's a big, strong player, and if he's given any room, he can certainly get on with the job.
Dear oh dear, that was a silly pass from Peter Wynn. 15 metres out in front of his uprights, and he has fair dinkum just spooned the ball up into the air, and it was, honestly, it was even money, take your pick, who was going to come up with it.
They've already made 5 handling errors to the Raiders 1, and there's no doubt that that's an area that John Mooney is going to be discussing at length at quarter time.
But it's only, Bill, I realise you've coached at first grade level, it's only 17 minutes ago he finished talking to them. And in that 17 minutes, what did you tell me? He's made 5. They've made 5 handling
errors in 17 minutes.
And done something like Peter Wynn just did in front of his own uprights. Here's the scrums and penalties just in front of the break. 3-2 the scrums to the Raiders. That surprises me. And 5-2 the penalties to the Eels. Penalty to Parramatta. And he's got the Raiders front row for not arching. The torso, if you like, is to be parallel to the ground. As the line finder sees the tap taken 32 out. Sterling, the running wall from Parramatta. Stewart, hammered by one of the Canberra defencemen. To the blind goes Edge. Sterling, Quinn, Sterling, Kenny. The elusive Mr. Kenny. Let's hope that, not so much from a Canberra Raiders point of view, but from a television viewer's point of view, we see some of the magic of Kenny tonight. Wynn getting a one-handed ball down to edge.
And that's going to be the difference between the two teams. Parramatta just have the advantage with class players such as Ella and Kenny, and Canberra just don't have anyone to match them in that department.
Ella up the centre, running off a Paul Mayer's pass. This is Peter Wynn. A quick ball required wide. Stewart, 10 metres out, looking to get the pass away, but that stretch is still on for them to the left. They may decide to run this and not bomb it, although Canberra has now marshalled their forces. Yes, Sterling read it. Sterling has read it, and he's passed it to a Canberra player in Sam Backer. But it was certainly on there. It just took too long for them to play the ball. Sigsworth.
Gee, they're making some breaks, Canberra. I'm just getting the feeling that Parramatta are going to be in a whole lot of trouble if they don't tighten up their defence and tighten up their handling.
Ella's coming across casually. He's got it well and truly parcelled up, but O'Sullivan and Henjack were on a beeline for the Elliott kick. And this will be the end of the first quarter, this passage of 6 for Parramatta, unless they can do something with it. But no, they've lost it again, and the referee is going to try and put a scrum down. He hasn't the time, as the siren sounds. And I'm afraid if you're a Parramatta for the second quarter, and I know that you're not a betting man, Mr. Henderson, but I think if I can read your mind at the moment, you'd be prepared to take the slight odds on offer about Canberra.
Oh, I probably would. There's still nothing in the match. I just feel that Parramatta had enough ball to do more with it, but they just forfeited possession with some silly handling. Canberra are finding it easy to make inroads in past the Parramatta defence, and they're certainly going to have to tidy up that area of their play.
This is Hoffman, tackled by Edge and Sharp. Fed back for Elliott to clear. Down to Steve Ella. And it's a 20-metre run that ends about 10 metres his side of halfway. Quinn decides to settle it towards centre field, which will give them the opportunity to attack on both sides of the ruck. This is Edge. And they now have a good back line to the left and a group of forwards to the right. And it's with Kenny. A nice cut-out pass, but it was behind Pengilly. And he's being driven back by the Canberra defence. Sterling. It's turned Sigsworth around, and it's getting on towards that touchline, but covered nicely by Ron Sigsworth, the former Newtown player. And I must admit, when he went to Canberra, I said at the time, gee, he'd be a handy man to snap up, Sigsworth.
Yeah, he's done a good job with Canberra, but looking at the opposition fullback, Steve Ella, he's playing as deep as any fullback I've ever seen behind a defensive line, and Canberra have got some good chip and chase men in their two halves, O'Sullivan and Henjack, and if they're prepared to give it a try, they will get a result out of it.
Well, that's not the kick that Bill Anderson was talking about. And Ella now charges it back, and he's running Kenny into a... Oh, beautiful tackle by Bellamy. Had to be that too, I'm telling you. It was brewing up to a stage of danger for Canberra. Look at Kenny showing it to Houghton, in fact almost running with it and telling Houghton what to do at the same time.
And despite the team that Parramatta put on the field, when they've got players of the calibre of Sterling, Kenny and Ella, they're always dangerous, and they can beat anyone if those players have an odd night.
Pengilly, Sharp, Peter Wynn. Through Sterling to Kenny, and now it's out with Mark Laurie. A lot of people have forgotten that Mark played nearly all last year in the centres for John Loney's reserve grade. Here's Hunt, lost, Canberra coming up with it. The 5 for Canberra is Matthew Corkery. The familiar sights of Terry Fay and Bill Walker missing from the Canberra team. And of course, Gitto out of the centres, so there's really only one of the 3 quarters left, and that is Craig Bellamy. This man is Sam Backo. Stewart with Mayers making the tackle. Here's Ella. from that deep fullback position, getting a dream run out there, really. The chip and chase would have seemed pretty obvious for a person out there reading the match. Played by Hunt. This is Sterling. Blindside for Mayers. Back to the blind again. Stewart to Sharp. Well, with the exception of Kenny, this almost looks like they've got no hope of getting through.
Yeah, but
gee, that was a good tackle by Back.
It's hard to believe the tactics, Ray. They've got some of the best attacking backs in the world in Kenny and Ella, and they keep turning the ball back inside away from
Laurie. Here's the call from Kenny. Kenny to Houghton. Houghton is in to score. Well, here we were talking about the forwards doing absolutely nothing with it when Peter Wynn has done a Steve Morden. Or a Wally Lewis, if you like. Peter Wynn. Little chip over the top. Mark Laurie from an onside position, taking it on the full, and in one stride had given it to Kenny, as if to say, you know what to do better than I do from here. And Chris Houghton is in to score for the Eels.
Well, Parramatta turned the ball back inside for 5 tackles. They then decided to give their backs a sniff of it. Wynn chipped over the top. Laurie recovered the ball, shot the ball to Kenny. We know what he's like. Times his passes beautifully, gives Houghton a free run to the line, and he's got the pace to go on with the job.
Chris Houghton, who came to Parramatta from Penrith. Pardon my laughter. We have a director who really gets into his work, and some of the things that you hear coming through these cans, fair dinkum. So it's Neil Hunt taking the kick and missing it. Steve Elder apparently has been sacked as the kicker. Parramatta 4, leading Canberra. 6 minutes gone, second quarter. Steve Sharp. Out. Pengilly came to Parramatta from Corindai. This is McLeod.
Those situations we were talking about before, Ray, when on the quick turnover on the first tackle and the defence is disorganised, that's the time to spread the ball.
This is Aldous. Held on the 22. Yeah, O'Sullivan a short. Oh, he was under the armpits. You might like to replay that for us. Mayers made a very heavy hit on Paul Elliott. There it is there. I wanted to replay that for you because a lot of people thought it was a high tackle, but he had him straight under the armpits, and there was no question that she was a legit tackle. Just very, very heavy from Paul Mayers. Bust for Ella. Neil Hunt, a big step off the right. Mark Laurie. Neil Hunt again. Pulled down inside, but not held. He'll pass, put down by Edge, and now to play it on 5. Very wide they are to the right, the Eels. They need a cut-out ball now. Peter Wynn galloping for the corner, passes desperately inside for Houghton, but that's the turnover. Away goes Henjak to the 22 line. Gilbert actually took a very hard knock to the mouth in the early seconds of the game, the Canberra number 8. And it, I think, has upset him a little bit. Penalty against Mayers. This Cup Series tonight, it's the second last of the first round matches. Next week we have the Saints versus the Bears. St George and Norths. Macco. Spears. 4-0 to Parramatta. Switch back to the blind for O'Sullivan, through McLeod, back to Henjack, now to Elliott. 6 more tackles, says the referee. And Elliott spinning around and unable to unload it. A look of despair on the face of O'Sullivan. This is McLeod. About 15 metres out from the Parramatta quarter line. They keep up a blindside wrap, and it's gone from Spears. All purple. He got around Hunt nicely. Henjack. O'Sullivan. Back to Henjack. Elliott. Tobacco. 15 out. Ivan Henjack around the back of McLeod. Long ball out to Craig Bellamy. He got away from Brett Kenny. He has now run into a Shepherd. Or has created a Shepherd. And it's Parramatta with this clearing penalty. 7 metres inside their own quarter. What's the penalty count running at now, Peter? 8-3. Parramatta. That wouldn't be making Don Furner a happy man. Off goes Stephen Edge, just pinching 10. Why not? Now they'll put something together. Sterling. Win. Steve Sharp. Sterling. Kenny. Back to Sterling. Pengilly. 5 gone. Sterling. Long pass out there for Neil Hunt. He decides to kick. It's going straight into the waiting arms of Sigsworth. Gilbert is down injured for Canberra. Sigsworth tackled up inside his 22 line. O'Sullivan. Pretty fast on his feet. McLeod. Bellamy. Tackler was Kenny. Penalty to Canberra. Markers not standing behind one another. I mentioned earlier about the good prizes from National on offer weekly to our winner of the Guess the Golden Try nomination each week. Of course, at the end of the year, a chance to match up with the judges on the Golden Tries, and a trip waiting there for 2 lucky people flying Japan Airlines to Japan and then on to Los Angeles. That's everything in Los Angeles left after the Olympics. McLeod. Gilbert.
They're a good side to watch, Canberra, aren't they? They're always trying to do things, and they never play dull football. On each occasion we've had them in a television match, they've produced plenty of fine football for us, good close backing up in the forwards and a willingness to spread the ball along their back line.
Kick by Henjack. And Ella and Quinn had it covered, allowing it to go. And he's coming back to the 22 for the restart. Incidentally, the player who makes the Golden Try in 1984 gets that cold gold ingot valued at $5,000 from Carlton and United Breweries. Paul Mayers. Peter Sterling. Brett Kenny cutting out Laurie. It's gone to Wynn. No obstruction to the defence, apparently, the referee felt. This is Wynn playing it 10 metres short of the halfway, galloping ahead. Oh, that's a good handoff to Steve Ella. Sharp, Mayers. Back for Stewart. Now long ball. This is with Kenny. Now to Mark Laurie. He'll need one on the inside. Pass round the corner to Quinn. And he's wrapped up by Ray Blacklock. Dummy half Houghton. Steve Ella puts the bomb up. They all appear to be onside. And it's down for the Raiders through Matthew Corkery. And a good break. Long striding wing three-quarter. Good ball down to Blacklock.
Oh, gee, he's a good young fella, this winger they've brought into the side. He came in as a replacement for Billy Walker. He kicks goals, but he showed us there he's got plenty of pace and a good step.
Bellamy held by Pengilly and Mayers. Parramatta leading by 4-0. But with the penalty count they've had, I guess they're entitled to be leading by 4-0. Penalty to Canberra. Now Corkery will come over and take the opportunity of putting two. Corkery. Just a nervous exit of the oxygen in the lungs, and then zing straight over the black and gold dot, putting Canberra's first points on the board, and Parramatta leading by 4 points to 2. General manager of the league, John Quayle, tonight at the end of this match will make for us the quarter-final draw. A quarter-final series that is certainly going to have some superb matches in it. Sigsworth. Big run there by Jay Hoffman. Sigsworth bats him up, and the ball lost, and I do believe Hoffman has it for Canberra. Referee agrees and says play on. Backo. Well, this defence,
that's flimsy.
Oh.
You know, you just don't see Parramatta sides defend like that.
McLeod cut down by Sterling. Must have gone 50 yards in 2 runs from dummy half. The bomb and a test there for Ella, but Sharp saved the day. Peter Wynn.
They've done it again.
O'Sullivan coming across the ground. Flat ball for Sigsworth. O'Sullivan.
Dangerous customer 10 metres out. O'Sullivan. He got a step off either foot and plenty of acceleration.
To the blind through Elliott. Now to Backo, the big man. He can see the line but can't get it down. Henjack, the long stretch. Look out for Neil Hunt. He's given a hand down to Kenny. Kenny's outside the 22 looking for support. And Neil Hunt has bombed it.
That's their 11th fumble of the match.
I can't believe, I realise that there's a lot of players out. I can't believe this is the team that beat Canterbury 10 days ago. There must be 2 of them. Canberra with a scrum win. Oh, gee, well, there's the Raiders really doing a Parramatta. Sharp turning it back into the middle to a player who obviously didn't think he was going to be required. Pengilly. Played with that club in the Northwest, the Grasshoppers. Famous old club. Karindai. Mayers. Sterling. Play just into Canberra's area. Seconds remaining before the break. As Ken Stewart finds touch.
Yeah, I know that.
Scrum will barely have time to pack. Hunt. Kenny, there's trouble on. Ella's into the back line. Tackle on the 22. They'll put the bomb up here. That's if they've been looking at the timepiece. They've stretched it to Mark Laurie. Laurie lofts the ball inside for Houghton to Sterling, then to Steve Sharp, and Steve Ella got in front of him, I thought was offside, but the referee has now acknowledged knock-ons against both, and the siren has sounded. And so at half-time, Parramatta with one try lead Canberra with one goal. To restart this match with Canberra now running left to right. No changes to either side. I just had to hesitate there for a second, but no changes to either. And bringing this ball out as the try scorer for Parramatta, Chris Houghton. Ooh, that's a good hit. Gilbert got Stewart with a tremendous tackle. This is Pengilly. Sterling. Sigsworth back inside his own 22. Cornered by Hunt. Elliott. He's a good player, Elliott. O'Sullivan. Backo. Lost. Kenny's got it. Given it to Pengilly. Swept across the ground to Sharp. Sterling. Win. Mears has gone inside. Hunt's there too. The tackle by O'Sullivan. And now given to Neil Hunt. Across the ground on an arc-like run. They're about 25 metres out now, the Eels. Peter Wynn, who's worked tirelessly in the tackle, though I was looking at the tackle counter at half-time, and he's only been accredited with 6 tackles in 20 minutes of football, a second rower.
Which is a low tackle count, isn't it? You compare it with the other second rower, Steve Sharp. He's made 16. Steve Edge, the hooker's up to 21.
Played by Mears. Here's Ella. In fact, there's the tackle count made by Edge, Sharp and Mears. Sterling. Kenny went up, so did Sigsworth. And it's 6 more tackles for the Eels. Kenny's come up with it. And he's hurt himself in the process, I think, Kenny. He's okay as the ball comes across to Mears. There's trouble on for the Raiders. The big man unloads. Sterling backs him up, pops the ball out for Neil Hunt. There's a try. Simply through the fact that Parramatta came up with 6 fresh tackles, and then they just kept punching that ball. It's the main feature of this Parramatta side. They are never beaten until the referee says so. They just keep pinging the ball, and even when you think they might be playing badly, as a lot of people here tonight would feel, I'm sure, they can produce a try out of almost anything, and particularly, as I said earlier, on the first tackle or the 6th.
Well, I thought here that Parramatta found the hard way to score the try. Mears had 3 players outside him, and they were against one defender. He decided to duck back inside, but he got himself out of trouble when he stood in the tackle, slipped the ball back to Sterling. He knew what way to shot it, threw it to his winger, and here we see Hunt going over for the second try for the Eels.
8 points to 2 in favour of Parramatta, and Hunt is going to attempt conversion of his own try, and I see that Canberra has replaced Sam Backo. And Neil Hunt's kick is a horror. So without being too offensive to Neil, there's a big gap between Cronin and the next best, apparently. 8-2 Parramatta. There's the replacement man for Canberra, Grant Ellis. Houghton coming back to the 22. Stewart. Sharp. Little kick by Sterling. Ella's gone fast. Sterling gets a ball back, and it's been scooped in by Peter Wynn. Back to Peter Sterling. Looks for a runner. Nobody to be found. Steve Ella was standing there like a spare dinner. Quinn. Knocked on by Hunt.
Both sides are showing a willingness to spread the ball out wide along their back lines and to use close backing up in the forwards. And with fairly flimsy defence on both sides of the field, I'd expect a lot of tries to be scored in the last two quarters.
Scrum win to Parramatta. Well, I called it wrongly. It certainly came out their tunnel, but what happened, the Canberra lock, Gilbert, had taken himself from the scrum and fallen on it, so that's why the penalty has gone to Parramatta. What's that on Peter Sterling's face? Is that some marking off the field? Let's see if we can get a head on of Sterling. Yeah, that's what it is. It's some of the marking they use for the lines. So they've got the running wall ready again, Parramatta. This has been the lever from which all their, well, mainly their set plays has been operating tonight. Sterling, Wynn. Good ball by Wynn. Pengilly. Sterling needs to stretch it. Oh dear, there's players getting in the road here. They're crowding the play. As Bill said earlier, it only needed one pass to reach its intended player, but there were three there all trying to grapple at it. And this is Pengilly now. Sterling. The bomb. Kenny's under it. So is Laurie. Raked down. It came off the Parramatta hand. And it's Sigsworth to play it. Hoffman plays it. It's Gary Spears. Gary Mara is on the sideline. He will go on and replace Neil Pengilly.
And he's also a recognised goal kicker, so he'll probably take the shots.
And a penalty to Parramatta, Canberra. Taking the quick penalty, and Sigsworth is brought down 32 metres out from his own line. Swept across to Craig Bellamy. The ball went behind Ray Blacklock, but he did well to take it. Although the scoreline shows Parramatta has scored 2 tries to 0, and the Eels lead 8-2. There have been some very worrying moments, I would think, for Coach Mooney. This is Corkery heading for the ground in one heck of a hurry. Kenny and Laurie making the hit. Chip by Bellamy, taken in by Sharp. Sterling standing at dummy half, looking and waving like a traffic cop. The playmaker is Sterling, with that blackened nose of his. That's right, but Jack Gibson brought the mascara into the rugby league arena underneath the eyes. Peter's got something new. He does the nose as well. Here's Peter Wynn. That ball was forward on the inside to Sharp, but the referee allowed it to go. Kick by Wynn into the bottom corner. and taken in by Corkery. Now he's in the in goal, and the referee is going to take it over for the line dropout. So the touch judge goes in, introducing Gary Mara to the game. Pengilly comes off, and 8 points to 2 in favour of Parramatta Rapini. So would Laurie go into the pack, Bill?
Oh, I'm sure he would. Mara take up the inside centre position, and as I mentioned before, no doubt he'll take the goal kicks.
Ella. Stewart. Back with Canberra. O'Sullivan. McLeod. Gillis. O'Sullivan. Long ball out to Aldous. Inside Sigsworth. McLeod. Now Bellamy. Left foot driving kick by Spears. He might find touch. No, it's coming inside, and Mara looks as though he's fallen back to the full-back position, so Ella's gone up into the line. Houghton. Sharp. Win. She's had a busy match, Peter. Kenny. Done a few things wrong, Win, but he's probably been there and involved that much that he's prone to make more mistakes than the others who haven't been as conspicuous. This is Corkery, who's done a couple of nice things. Tackled on the 22. Spears again. Ellis sprinting into an opening. It took the speed of Kenny to bring him down. But there have been some alarming gaps in this Parramatta defensive line. Gaps that you'd almost wait for an entire season to see. Once upon a time. Aldous. Henjack. McLeod. The bomb by O'Sullivan. Blacklock away to McLeod. Oh, intercept and all.
We've seen him do that so many times in the past and get success with it.
There's no better exponent of the intercept than Brett Kenny, but if he had have, well, if that man had been able to cut him out completely, it would have left 3 Canberra attackers on 2 Parramatta defencemen. Gilbert. Well, one of Parramatta's bright young hopefuls, Glenn Mansfield, is on the sideline. He'll go on and replace Stephen Edge. There he is, the young Giants. O'Sullivan. And still going. But then just trying to squeeze that ball out that might have brought the scores level, but it didn't quite come off. So, man, look of amazement on the face of Steve Edge there. Sterling now skippers the Parramatta team. Mansfield will go into prop and Stewart will hook. played by Mara. Here's Mansfield with it now. Came up through the ranks of Ball, Flegg. Followed a fairly similar pattern to Paul Mayers, in fact. Blacklock. Henjack. Neil Hunt bearing in on him. John McLeod, short ball for Aldous. Then he got a pass away for Corkery. He's done a few good things, Aldous, the centre. They're wide and deep, Canberra. O'Sullivan. .32 out. McLeod. And Jack. Ellis, and good work. Spears, Sigsworth, now Blacklock. This is the former Newtown winger getting the ball inside to Bellamy.
That was some beautiful football by the Raiders.
Really good stuff, and Blacklock dives. I don't think he's got it down. In fact, he's short, and it's the turnover of possession. So Parramatta rather fortunate to come away with their line still intact. And I can see Ron Quinn, the 5'8", with his nose bloodied. And he's taken a pretty heavy knock, Quinn, the Parramatta 5'8". Top left-hand corner of screen now.
We might see one of your favourite footballers come onto the field later in this game, Michael Patterson, who of course is a specialist 5'8".
Sterling. In big league out today, there's the full story of Wayne Pearce joining the 10 Network and the Daily Mirror organisation. Also a story about Frank Stanton using East coach Laurie Fryer as a spy during last Saturday's test. And the colour pin-up of Western Suburbs, and on the cover Peter Tunks, the new state prop. All out in a very busy edition of Big League. Ellis.
There's a penalty to Canberra, and there are about 3 minutes to go for the end of the third quarter, and this is going to be a very testing time for the Eels. Canberra really running hot at the moment, and they'd like nothing better than to score just before the three-quarter time break and go in with this game close, evenly matched, either 8-8 or if they don't convert, 6-2.
Tap by Hoffman, blind side to O'Sullivan, swept back open side where it's to be played by Gilbert. Now it's with Spears. Henjack. Elliott. Sigsworth has put it down, and Sterling has come up with it for Parramatta. Still the scoreline, only 6 points between them. And Mayers has lost it. Canberra comes up with it. And it's with O'Sullivan. O'Callaghan is on the sideline to make a replacement for the Canberra team. 2 minutes away from three-quarter time. Henjack. Aldous on the 22. Good hands. Down to O'Sullivan and now to Sigsworth. It'll be Sigsworth who's coming off. Grubber kick through by O'Sullivan, tidied up by Sterling. He's just had a quick yarn to Neil Hunt. Almost be sure what he said. Just kill it, get it out of here and do your best with it. Mara. O'Callaghan will take the... He's on the field now at fullback. And Blacklock's the player that's come off. Mansfield. Stewart Sterling putting it down to Aldous, who's gone out to the wing, and Sigsworth appears to be playing in the centres. That's O'Callaghan. Henjack across the ground, linking up with O'Sullivan, then backs him up, takes it, gives it to Bellamy, to the halfway, inside for Corkery. He's put it down, and diving on it for Parramatta. I'll give you three. No, it's Mansfield. I thought for a second it was going to be Sterling. He's been all over the place tonight, Sterling. He's worked tirelessly for the Eels. Ella. That's Stewart. Television match for us on Saturday, the match of the round. On Sunday, I should say. I might be off, I think. Parramatta and Souths on Sunday. Ella. Backing up by Sterling. And that's the turnover. Siren. 8-2. Bellamy outside the quarter. Corkery, ring of defencemen, and that's the end of 60 minutes of National Panasonic. With Canberra to kick off, down by 6 points, but more importantly than being down 6 points, they are down 2 tries to nothing. And pardon me, that means that they've basically got to score twice. To score and convert only would see a draw, and Parramatta would win because they would have scored the more tries. So I just wanted to make that clear to you off the top of this one. An 8-all draw. Don't go running down to the list of penalties. It goes to the tries first off, and Parramatta has scored 2 of them to 0. So, you know, John Mooney would know the rules backwards, and he would have told his players to play the game in Canberra's territory, and you will be in the quarterfinals. This is O'Callaghan. Now David Grant is on for Canberra. He can make a bust out of anything, or out of nothing, I should say. Here he is with the ball now. A handoff down to Hoffman, and the Raiders just must get down the other end of the ground and put that football over the goal line, and then somehow or other break a drawn situation, should that be the case, by the best possible means. Elliott's kick. Oh, gee, that's copped Glenn Mansfield in a very tender spot. O'Callaghan wrestled with by Kenny and Mayers. Sigsworth. Grant. That's the only way to take David Grant. You've got to take him low to stop the progress, and then you must wrap him up. Now, what's he done here? Let's see if we can get some of this on the disc. This will be a penalty, I do believe, against Grant. Well, now he's indicating to keep it low to Parramatta. I'm sorry, they've given the penalty to Canberra. He must have retaliated, David, when he was on the ground, because originally I thought he was going to penalise the attacking player. What did you think, Bill?
It looked that way. You'll generally find that the last player to get cautioned is the one that's going to have the penalty go against him, and that was the case this time.
So the penalty has gone to Canberra. They've taken the tap. This is Hoffman. Mansfield and Sharp, the tacklers. Henjack turning it for Ellis.
Ellis has looked good since he's come onto the field. He's been looking for plenty of work, and each time he's taken the ball up, he's caused the Parramatta defence plenty of bother.
Henjack. Sigsworth. Well, they're going to take this one right down to the wire, the Raiders. The team from last year probably would have packed it in by now, but not so in 1984. They're going to fight this one right out. These two halves, gee, they're good, Henjack and O'Sullivan. 6 more, and then the knock-on.
They're not only good players individually, the two halves, Henjak and O'Sullivan. They've got a tremendous combination. And wherever you find one, you'll find the other not by far behind him, looking for the backup.
There's one of them. Here's the lock. Gilbert, it's something they do quite a lot from the scrum, Canberra. Bellamy. Ellis. And Jack. Parramatta coming up with the ball as it was coughed up by the Raiders. Mansfield. Negative stuff. Sterling. Win. Safely parcelled up the big second rower. Sterling again. Houghton. Stewart. Kenny. And that's a beautiful pass to Quinn. Sterling. Came off a Canberra player, went back in field and dived on by Jay Hoffman. O'Callaghan. Ooh, gee, Steve Sharp got a smack in the face accidentally. Copped it as the man tackle was trying to get up and play it. Spears. O'Callaghan. The ball went forward, according to the referee, and just to put a scrum down. 5-4 scrums to Canberra, 8 all the penalties now, so that statistic has levelled up, hasn't it? Yellow playing 5/8, Kenny inside centre. Quinn has gone to outside centre. Mara to full back. Ella, Kenny, swerving and trying to get back inside them. Hunt. So as John Mooney gets a couple of fresh men ready, Don Ferner retaliates by also getting Percy Knight ready.
He is the sort of player that can turn a game for you. Brilliant attacking skills, Percy Knight.
Nicely taken by Steve O'Callaghan. There's Michael Mosley and Michael Patterson limbering up. Penalty to Canberra. Same offence as they've gone a couple of times for in this match. Double markers. Now there goes Patterson and Mosley onto the ground, and also Percy Knight for Canberra. Henjak has come off to allow Percy Knight on, and Steve Sharp and Ron Quinn are off for Parramatta. This is Hoffman, and a scuffle up between Mansfield and Grant. Percy Knight. Now that's a beautiful piece of ball work by the Raiders. Kicked ahead by the centre, Aldous. Was he felled late? That's the question. Referee has allowed play to go. played by Mara. Mick Mosley running it just inside the 22. Oh, Stewart has not only knocked on, he's lost possession, and so Canberra grabbed their first real opportunity to put points on the board in this final quarter. Being played by Gilbert. That's Grant.
And that new man that's just gone on the field, Percy Knight, he's going to be a real danger if he can get the ball in the Parramatta quarter.
Patterson's with it, and he's hurt. Probably one of the unluckiest footballers ever to pull on a boot. You wouldn't believe it. He's been out there 5 seconds. He realised the importance of that ball, dived on it, and he's hurt. Score. No change. 8-2. Mayers. Mansfield. Mayers. About 7 metres inside the quarter. Mosley loves to run from dummy half. Sterling. Sterling now taking the line kicks himself. Stewart. Peter Wynn, straight through. Patterson's with him. Now Patterson, he's a fresh man. They might catch him. Oh, Aldous is flying. But Mara backs up and scores. Good bust by Wynn. Sterling engineered it. Wynn busted them. Patterson backed up. Mara backed up. And so the try. There was Peter Wynn through the gap. Patterson took off. And Aldous, the centre from Canberra, really picked him up quickly, but Mara was there to support.
Well, firstly, it was a nice inside pass by Sterling. He threw a dummy first. Peter Wynn backed up, drew his man, gave the ball to Patterson. Patterson set his ears back and set sail for the try line. He didn't have the pace to go on with it. Aldous got him from behind, but he threw a nicely timed and well-weighted pass to Mara, who goes over for the clincher.
Yes, that is the clincher. 3 tries and leading 12-2. And they've now got a recognised goal kicker on, so Gary Mara can be expected to raise the flags for the first time for Parramatta tonight. Right in front, 10 metres out, and no mistakes. So Parramatta leading Canberra by 14 points to 2. Sterling. Laurie. Right on the halfway line. Mayers. O'Callaghan up very high with a Parramatta player, Chris Houghton. Aldous comes away with it for Canberra. David Grant. Mayers and Stewart claiming the Canberra prop. Percy Knight. Gee, didn't he play some mighty football here at Leichhardt for Balmain. He came to the Tigers the same year as Larry Corowa. Both, I think I'm right in saying, from Queen Anne. This match, the general manager of the league, John Quayle, will be here to carry out the draw for the National Panasonic Cup quarterfinals. Houghton, right on the halfway. Stewart. Sterling, Patterson. Just behind Kenny, and it's going to be a scrum.
Two balls on the field, Red.
Corkery. Knight. Kenny's cleaned it up. Peter Wynn. Mark Laurie. Well, the ball must be pushed very quickly to the right. Sterling. Hunt. Back with Sterling. Mosley. 14-2. Parramatta, 3 tries. Canberra unable to score. A try. Sterling giving of a sterling performance tonight. Peter Wynn's ball was good. Taken by Mark Laurie. Spun inside for Glenn Mansfield. He's going to score, the big man, is he? He was tackled, not held. Stands, thought about a double movement. Intercepted by Canberra's Elliott. He's down to the halfway, kicks ahead. O'Sullivan's going after it with Mayers and Ella. O'Sullivan, a great race between he and Mayers.
That was a tremendous effort by Paul Mayers, a front row forward, came through on chase there and showed a tremendous amount of pace, as much as O'Sullivan, to get back and tidy it up.
Well, if you're wondering how fast Paul Mayers is, that's a pretty good example of it, because you're dealing with a very speedy man in Chris O'Sullivan. Playing it just outside the 22 line. It's Mansfield. Stewart. Mosley. Sterling. Taken by Mayers. Given to Hunt. Tackler was Corkery. Sterling. Torpedo punt down over the head of the fullback. O'Callaghan. Walters tackled just inside the 22. Callaghan. Sigsworth. Knight. Bellamy. O'Sullivan short pass to Ellis. Elliott, he's got all the ball skills. Elliott, oh, wait, did you have to say that about him just then? Hunt, Kenny. I'll still say it because really this is the time in a match, and it has been for some time now, that you've just got to try and squeeze out that almost impossible ball. You've just got to get those miracle passes away. And Elliott, I was about to say it, he's got all the ball skills, hasn't he, Bill?
Oh, he has. He's a very good player, Elliott. We've seen him in a couple of television matches this year, and he's the one player in the Canberra forwards that can use the ball to effect.
Amazing. You go to say something, and all of a sudden, it's like you put an X on the bloke. Penalty to the Raiders. Stewart down in the scrum. Inside the last 5, Parramatta 14, Canberra 2. Knight. By O'Sullivan. Here's Elliott. Oh, that's a great pass to Gilbert. Charge down by Peter Sterling. No risk in the world. This is a try and a fair one. And that's the 3rd time we've seen the charge down scored inside 12 months, and they've all been scored by Parramatta, either by Sterling or Taylor. I'll never forget that day at the cricket ground in that final against Canterbury when Sterling charged down a kick, went in and scored, and a lot of the crowd booed the referee for giving the try. And it's amazing. It's only the practical examples like this that you're seeing now that can change your way of thinking pretty dramatically. Try to Sterling, 4th for Parramatta. Look at that smile on his face, the fast food king. The fast food king, that's what I call him. He just loves it. And David Lydiard is now flatting with him, so he apparently is heading in the same direction. Ask him what his favourite pastime is, he'll tell you eating out of any of the fast food joints that he can find. Quite amazing for an athlete of his ability. Yes, I know. Mara converts, and Parramatta leading by 20 points to 2 now. 20 to 2 in favour of the Eels. There's the siren, it's all over. A game won eventually by an easy margin for Parramatta, but it wasn't until they squeaked away to a 14 to 2 lead that everything was apple pie for the Blue and Golds. Houghton, Hunt, Mara, Sterling the tries. Mara 2 goals, and for Canberra they